and Patrick Lang. Over the next hour, you'll learn from Patrick and his expert guests how to attract more certainty into your business and your life. Now, here is your host, Patrick Lang.
Welcome back to Finding Certainty, everyone. I'm honored today to have a very special guest, Sir Dr. James Dentley III. Dr. Dentley, thanks for being here.
I'm honored to be here, Patrick. How are you? You have a birthday coming up, don't you?
I do indeed. It's tomorrow, February 25th.
Well, happy early birthday, my friend.
Well, you being on my show is one of the best gifts. So thank you so much for making the time. I know you're very busy, and it's a real pleasure.
I'm honored to be here.
So I always start out the show by sharing a couple of the reasons why I've invited this specific guest to join us on Finding Certainty. I don't go into a lot of the specific bio starting out. It is in the description. We're going to be talking about you and what you do throughout the show. But if I had to say the top two reasons why I asked Dr. Dentley to join us, first and foremost, I mean, he is a renowned international speaker, trainer, coach. I mean, when you start talking about top speakers internationally, you're talking Dr. Dentley, you're talking Les Brown, Sharon Lecter, Bill Walsh. I mean, he's in the top 1% of all speakers. And I'm looking forward to hearing some of your stories and what you've learned. And I mean, it's been just an extraordinary career. And secondly, one of the things I love about Dr. Dentley is he has an enormous heart. He's done a great deal to give back as a philanthropist, helping veterans, helping homeless, helping children. So talk about finding certainty and helping others find certainty in their lives. That's been your entire life, Dr. Dentley. So I really appreciate you being here. Looking forward to hearing a little bit more about you and sharing your story with our listeners. So starting out, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you come from? Where did you grow up? And tell us maybe a little bit about your family, but what brought you to doing what you do and doing it so well?
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for that question, and thank you for having me. You know, a year ago, May, we premiered my documentary of my life story called Time to Win at the Imagine Theaters here in Chicago. And we packed it out. And what I learned from the experience, because I didn't want to do it, everyone else told me I should. And then they told me, well, James, your life was a full feature film. We only got 46 minutes. I said, okay, well, you do with it as you will. But I learned that you live your life forward, you understand your life backwards. And most of us, we look at our life in sound bites. You know, we don't keep the story connected, which is interesting because I teach people when they're reading to keep the story connected. That's why you have the memory recollection, and then you also know how to keep it in the right context. When I grew up, my mom raised myself and three sisters, divorced my dad. I was 5 years old. I didn't understand it. I'm James Dentley III, so there was a little resentment because I didn't understand why I could not be with my dad. He just wasn't there. Later, I learned that was just my interpretation. But as a young kid, my mom working in a grocery store and with three sisters, we didn't have a lot of money. I'm the second oldest. So I always found ways to create money, first of all. I always had a great work ethic, shoveling snow in Chicago. Believe me, there's snow. Raking the leaves, carrying groceries, whatever I could do, because if I wanted something extra, even a bag of potato chips, I had to go outside and do it. So I would make extra money, and I would throw money in my mother's drawer and my sister's drawer. And I took on that role. As I grew up, I got a job, my first real job in high school. I was 17, and it wasn't a summer job. I worked full-time, 40 hours a week, 6 p.m. to 3:30 in the morning at a restaurant called Church's Fried Chicken. And I was just happy to get a job. Minimum wage was $2 an hour, Patrick. And I worked my tail off, but then I got to become real competitive because the people there were really great in the company at doing something. Everyone had a standard of excellence. So I memorized all the manuals: operation and procedure manual, policy and procedure manual, repair and maintenance manual. I could fix everything. I could cook better, serve better, and everybody else there. I could even clean up the restaurant better. So I became the youngest general manager in the company's history out of 300 stores at the time in the 70s at 18 years of age. I took about 14 of my high school classmates and gave them jobs And all 14 of them went into management as well. And then I became a regional manager, district manager. And then I got a little bored with the fast food and got tired of eating chicken all the time. And I moved to Texas and got with a company called Steak and Ale. Steak and Ale was steak, lobster, prime rib, the first company to ever have a salad bar with a sneeze guard. I went from Dallas to Houston to Midland, Odessa to Abilene. And I learned a lot about myself and a lot about other people, because coming from Chicago, and you're out there in Midland, Odessa with Friday Night Lights, or Abilene, which was a cow and an Air Force town, I met the most incredible people, had 150 employees. No one looked like me, but we had a great time. I realized that people were people. We all really want the same things. We just really, really do. So, and running those multi-million-dollar restaurants, I decided, well, I can go into business for myself. So when I came back home, and I opened up several companies in the 80s, real estate, import, export, construction business, you name it, I was doing it. Beauty salons, I was doing everything I could. I had my hands in everything. And I was burnt out. I had no mentorship. I knew how to start business and grow them, but I wasn't happy. I really owned a job. And so when I moved to Atlanta, kind of getting a fresh start again, someone tricked me into getting into home-based business space, which I hated it. And I got in that space and ended up making millions and millions and millions of dollars. I've trained about 87 people who built 7 to 8 figure businesses, 10 or 12 in the traditional business, and about another 70 plus, 77 or something like that in the home-based business space. And was able to travel the world. It taught me how to become a speaker, a trainer. I learned the psychology of speaking, and I was able to build those things out. Now, through that, this is a great story, but I was diagnosed with, I had a blood disorder in my 20s. I was a third-degree black belt in Japanese karate, and I was in pain every day for a year. I wanted to kill myself. Later, when I got past that, I was diagnosed with sarcoidosis of the lungs. My lungs were excessively scarred. Never smoked a day in my life, nothing. But they told me if it was cancer, I'd have been dead. They put me on a drug called prednisone, and I went from a healthy athlete to 374 pounds. It was a mess, but I believe that they wanted me to get out there and speak because, well, I mean, you still speak, people can judge it, but at the time, but there were people out there that needed me to be there. The people who looked at themselves and didn't think that they could do it. And I had something I could share. So I decided to go out there. When I got into a holistic regimen, I was able to, after 8 years on prednisone, I was able to get off. I dropped 125 pounds. Patrick, I go to the doctor, routine physical. They say, you have cancer. Yeah. My PSA was 68, is high at 6. They told me it had to get out of the prostate. It had to be other places. So you could do chemo, you could do surgery, or you could try radiation, but we don't think the radiation is going to work. So I said, I tell you what, I'm going to go holistic, but I'm going to try half the radiation and then test me and see what happens. So then they put me back on a hormone, which gave me gain 60 pounds, but I'm happy to say that I'm 5.5 years cancer-free without a trace of it today.
Fantastic.
And I've been happy. Now, here's the key. I'm going to give it back to you. I've been happy every single day through all the adversities. I don't stress out about these things. I just live because the purpose in life is to fulfill itself, period. So I decided to live life to its fullest every single day, not as if it was my last, but it was my first part of life where I could explore like a child and play and serve and find purpose, because through the stories of everything I've done, whether it be in business and success, the people I've trained in their success, or the things I've gone through. And there's been some other things as well. I wouldn't change it for anything because it defines who I am. And now that we're on the other side, we've been able to help a lot of charities and start our own foundations and serve children, women, veterans, women initiatives, seniors, and do it at the highest level. And it's just such an honor to be here. And I'll just tell you, I didn't go to college. I have an honorary doctorate, and I didn't pay for it, but I thought I was in high school. I thought I had a B once because I never tried to get an A. I wasn't interested in that. And I thought I had a B, but it was really 2 Ds real close together. But I get a chance now to go train people in corporate America, C-suite executives. I get a chance to go train people that are highly educated, whether it be doctors or attorneys, even some colleges, and to impart some things that I have to people in the world. So I guess my message would be that everyone has something great inside of them. If you can awaken to it, then the world's waiting for you to show up to serve.
I completely agree. I mean, you've been a speaker now for coming on 40 years, right? You've been
about 30, yeah.
yeah, I saw 38. I guess that's
Yeah.
business plus speaking. And you've been all over the world. You're known for transformative change, next level thinking. You've been with some of the greats.
Yeah.
You are one of the greats, and
Okay.
you've been hired by organizations from here to Dubai and back and everything in between.
Yeah.
And you have such a great reputation for coming in and transforming that room. For people leave feeling like, okay, that wasn't just another motivational speech. They leave feeling like they have gone through a catharsis, a paradigm shift listening to Dr. Dentley. So, you touched on a lot with your intro there, and I completely agree with you. Our trials define us, right? Talking about finding certainty. It is, can we find it in the trenches, right? Can we look for that glass half full? Can we look for that abundance and have that abundance mindset in our lives rather than feeling as though we're victims, feeling put upon and kind of curling up in a ball and, giving up. And so that's fantastic. I know you're happily married to an amazing woman. I met Kara at Bill Walsh's Rainmaker in Vegas here this last year. And I know she's definitely the best part of you.
Oh, yeah,
you guys are absolutely a team. And it was really nice to get to know you and meet you, but she was incredible. I mean, if I may say so.
Yeah, you may.
How long have you two been together?
Wow, we met 23 years ago. Now, I'm 65, Kara's 42. And so she was on her way to high school. I knew her sister and I knew her family. I mean, she was on her way to college, not high school, but college. And no, not high school, college. And she was valedictorian, extremely bright. And we've been married now about 8 years and been hanging out together for like the last 12. And we just became great friends. And she's a double scientist and a physicist. I used to be with Homeland Security with nuclear power plants. And, she's just a marvel, but she's just the best person in her spirit. She doesn't meet anybody that she doesn't hug and love. She just is who she is every single day. My best friend, my source of peace, my business partner, life partner, and the mother of my child. And all, we're just exploring life and seeing what we can do to help make the world just a little bit better as we have fun doing it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She and I had a nice conversation about physics. My son has a double degree from University of Oregon in math and physics. He works for Intel now. And so we were talking about physics. Most of it went over my head, but she's brilliant, right? But she was so humble and so genuine and authentic. I really adored your wife. So, okay. So I appreciate the intro. And as you look at your career and your journey as a speaker, what stands out at you? What has been your favorite part of being this internationally renowned speaker, starting in direct sales and moving up through those ranks and then becoming a speaker with your own business? Is there a point or two that stands out at you as maybe a favorite element of it or favorite experience?
Wow. I'll sum it up this way. And I know we have a break coming up soon. I like to help people win. I get really excited about that. I don't get excited about speaking or being a dominant speaker. I have to have stage time. When I get on stage, it comes to me what to do there to create an experience for people, to build people together, to anchor the points and the things I want to impart into an emotion that creates that anchor and that trigger that a person can hang on to. I love to teach communication skills to how, when you do certain things, why do you do it? What does it mean? How do you become even more impactful? How do you help change? I love to help people win, man. That's what it's all about for me. That's not it. I remember I was on stage in Long Beach, California. I think it was like 7,000 people. I got 4 standing ovations in a 40-minute speech. I get off the stage, I went straight into depression. So I had to learn, and that was back in the year 2000, 2001. I had to learn how to put myself back together and how to take care of myself as I was serving others. And then in doing so, I was able to create new programs to help other people because I realized everybody was a mess.
Well, now you've actually created a camp. It's Inspired to Speak. You call it an action camp, right? Where you're teaching others how to do what you've done.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I think that's admirable. But is it going well? Is it growing like you thought it would? I know you're getting a lot of press about it. So
Well, it has grown remarkably well. As a matter of fact, when I started the TV streaming network, I was trying to stop doing that, but they won't let me quit. So I stopped during the year of COVID. And COVID was a terrible year in terms that we lost 40 people succumbed to COVID.
wow.
That was terrible. Our income tripled being at home, and I didn't have to get off the couch to earn millions and millions of dollars, but it doesn't take the place of the people that we lost in the journey. But they impact your life so well. So my speaker camps have grown, and we just started back this year because what I teach, no one else does. And the way I teach, no one else does. And the reason, because I've never had to do it for a living or to pay bills. I did it because I love to help people win. It was a gift, and I could do it a little bit different. And from a pure standpoint, because I also create stages for those speakers to speak on. So I'm really interested in the work, man. You know, a lot of people can make money, but it's about making a difference, man.
We do good with our business. So we're up against our first break, but we're visiting with Dr. James Dentley III. Really pleased to have you with us, Dr. Dentley. Thank you so much. We're going to go to break, but we'll be right back in a minute.
All right, good job, guys. We are all clear. Just to let you know, Patrick, you did freeze up there just a little bit just before we went to the break, but we cut you when you came back in. It was you just taking it to break. So if you said anything before that, we missed it.
I wonder if my internet is going down or something.
About 8 seconds, something like that, when you were speaking.
Weird.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Well, you know, for your birthday. You know, I used to be with Voice America.
Did you?
Yeah, when Jeff was there, yeah.
Nice.
When I was there, yes, sir.
I saw something about you in Voice America, so I wasn't sure if you'd been a host before or just been a guest on it, or
I had to hope both.
Yeah.
I had a show. I didn't have time to do it, but I did it. They wanted me to do it. They kept pressing me, James, more and more. And I said, oh God. I didn't have time, but now I'm in a space that I didn't want to deal with. Now I drink it and breathe it every single day.
Right. It does take some time. I really enjoy it, though. I was invited to be a host only about 6 months ago. Last August is when I first started my show. So I'm one of the newer hosts, but I'm also told that it's one of the fastest growing shows on the channel. So
nice. Congratulations. Awesome.
Getting some good press, and it's having a lot of ripple effects, as you start to get your message out there more and more, it starts to multiply and mushroom, and there's kind of a snowball effect. So
awesome.
To answer your question, we're going to a show tonight here. I live in Vegas, so
there you
go to see a show tonight, a comedy show. It's called Potted Potter. It's a two-man show. They tell the story of the Harry Potter series. It's supposed to be really funny and clean. So so we're doing that. Then tomorrow we're going catch a movie and to dinner, and we're actually going to LA tomorrow to visit some friends for a couple of days. So
very nice, man. Enjoy yourself. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. So how many children do you have, Dr. Dentley?
Ooh, I've got a 34-year-old daughter, a 26-year-old son, and a 10-year-old son. And then I've got 3 bonus kids from other marriages.
All right.
Yeah.
I married a widow with 3 children, have 2 boys together. So I went from 0 to 4 in a year, 0 to 5 in about 2 years.
There you go. Why play around with it?
Best thing that ever happened to me, right?
Yeah. So, I always tell people, we were just talking about this earlier, stop trying to raise children, raise cattle, cultivate the kids. Liberate them. Kids are free. They had so much more information than we did.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, sir.
So I usually do the first section on you and the next section on what you do. I thought we could get into your streaming service a little bit and talk about maybe some of the philanthropic work you do. And because I see that almost as a philanthropic effort. I know it's a business, but it's such a blessing.
But we have a nonprofit already, always amazing, man. And then I'm a knight as well, and that's what we do there as well.
Yeah. I'm going to
jump in, guys, but we are coming back.
Okay. We'll touch on that at the last section. Okay. The night part.
You are listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Lang. Have a question for Patrick or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show with Patrick.
Welcome back to Finding Certainty, everyone. Visiting with my new friend, Dr. James Dentley. We just recently met back in December of 2022. And Dr. Dentley was actually one of the keynote speakers at a conference called Rainmaker, put on by Bill Walsh and Power Team International. You received an award there at that event, Dr. Dentley, for all of your contributions. Not all of them, but for your contributions and efforts as a speaker, as a philanthropist. I thought that was really nice of Bill to do that for you. And your speech that day was incredible. I was fortunate enough to end up sitting next to Dr. Dentley at lunch, where we started talking. And that's when we decided we should get together here on Finding Certainty. So we haven't known each other long, but I feel like I've known you for a long time. I've been following you for a long time. So as you look back on your career, we talked a little bit about your speaking career. You've spoken with many of the greats. Again, is there an experience, a specific experience or a story that stands out? If you had to look back on your career as one of the icons in this industry, I know you've been on stage with many of the icons of this industry. Is there a story that stands out at you that maybe is most memorable?
Wow. Again, I've spoken in the BPO conference in Bangladesh, in India, Dubai, Egypt, Spain. I've spoken everywhere. But to be honest with you, there was a conference with 10,000 people. There was a young man there who, when I met him, he had stage fright. And he was afraid to speak. And I threw him in front of a room. He had been in many of my trainings, and I just threw him in there. And he tried everything to get out of it. I wouldn't let him get out of it. And then when he was done, he kept repeating himself. But when he was done, I threw him 3 days later back in the fray again. A year later, this gentleman had received the honor of being one of the top producers in this company called ACN. And he was in a meeting with 10,000 people. And usually I speak on that slot on the Sunday close, but they stopped letting me do that because the owner couldn't come behind me because I'd had a room all shaken up. But this young man got on that stage, first time ever in front of 10,000 people, and he destroyed the room. He just whacked through. He killed it. And I sat in the back of the room, and tears just started coming from my eyes because I remember how much fear he had and how he had grown. And I know you're asking me about the memories I have, and I've got stories. People. I was in a meeting, and after the meeting, they had a little meet and greet gathering, a little party, and a young girl comes to me. A young girl, Grace, runs to me and says, Mr. Dentley, this is back in the 90s. And she says, oh, I'd like to get your business card. And I said, well, who are you here with? And her uncle walks up, and you recognize her uncle. I said, okay. He said, yes, she collects the business cards from all the top leaders. So I said, well, I don't have one, but I will mail you one. So I asked the uncle to give me the address, and I would send it out. And I greeted the young lady, and that was the end of it. So I had gotten their phone number and the address from the uncle, and I called him up on Thanksgiving. It was one of those really in the morning. It was really just a peaceful morning. And I looked at my calendar, and I saw the number I had written on the calendar. So I called him up, and a gentleman answered the phone. I said, can I speak to Grace? And he said, who is this? I said, this is James Dentley. I'm playing. And he said, oh my God, thank you so much. So I spoke with her and encouraged her a little bit. I mailed her a card. And about 2 months later, I'm standing in the auditorium and this couple was walking towards me. I don't know them, but as they got closer, the wife began to cry, and I immediately knew it was them. And her, beautiful blonde hair, and her husband was dashing, and they walked to me and they said they wanted to thank me because she had asked for the cards from many people, and everyone said they would send it, and I'm the only person who did it. And that little bitty thing, that small gesture of integrity, of really caring, and living what you talk about, it taught me in the 90s, that everyone matters, So I would say, I want you, want to talk about the impactful moments. I've done a lot of cool stuff. I think I do a good job every time I'm there, but it's not about me. It's really about how can you touch someone else's life. And I've got so many of those stories that I can talk about that, they just go on and on. So I'm really honored.
Asking you to pick one is a hard question, I know, because there's so much. As you talk about, I know there's a lot of people out there who are intrigued by and interested in speaking professionally. Now, there's a lot of people who that's the last thing they'd want to do. There's, they say it's the number one fear for most people is public speaking. I think it was Jay Leno who said most people would rather be in the casket than giving the eulogy, right?
Yeah.
But you do it so well. And, as I think about interviewing a guest like you, and I try to think what kind of questions would the audience have? I think one of the most common questions or most obvious questions would be, how do you do it? How do you be a great speaker that people want to keep hiring, want to keep coming back, bringing back? You're engaging audiences, how do you grab them in the first 60 seconds,
Oh, wow. Okay, good. I teach that. First of all, you talked about a few things, the fear, okay? When a person has that anxiety, that's because you're thinking about yourself. How am I going to come off? How am I going to remember? How do I look? It's never about you. You are not the star if you're the speaker. You are the director, and the audience is the star, period. Because when you take it from you and you make it about the audience, you're having a conversation because you know your content, your story is yours. So you have a conversation. The second thing is that when you get on the stage, before you get there, I teach people how to put themselves in state. Stephen Covey said you begin with the end in mind. So the speech is already done. You already seen and visualize it. No different than a track star has run the race before they got to the track, or a bride has walked down the aisle before she got to the church. So you always play these things out and you time them. But the first 30, I call it the F45, your first 45 seconds, what are you going to do to own that stage? How are you going to plant yourself so you are totally present, so people can not only hear you, but they can feel you, even if it's 20,000 people, 100,000. Every person will feel you if you understand frequency and vibration, which I write about as well. So it's just different things, from understanding personality types, Patrick, learning how to use your voice like the soundtrack of a movie. You can speak not only into the listening, but into the nervous system of another human being. You can implant something there that they can't get rid of if you understand. And that's what I love to teach.
I completely agree. You've written best-selling books on this topic. One of your books, The Frequency of Top Performers, I'm sure it touches on these topics, right? And goes into how to not just speak professionally and touch people from the stage, but it also touches on how to lead and guide and inspire people in business and in life, even in our relationships, right? Our marriages. And you can be a top performer in lots of areas, not just in your career. Hopefully you understand that. A lot of people don't, they're out of balance. They put all their effort into into their business, and they neglect their family. And it's, I think, one of the keys of being a top performer, which your book is titled, is to find that balance and to be accountable in all areas. Would you agree?
Yeah, but the fact of the matter is, if you're going after a worthy ideal, you're going to get out of balance, but don't stay there. It has to be very strategic. When you talk about frequency, and the book is the 5 frequencies of high achievers, high performers. When you look at the frequency and energy, you have to be very intentional about what you're going to focus on, but you don't want your family to fall apart because it's going to affect your business. Your business is falling apart, it can affect your family. So that's why communication is so important, because first of all, how do you communicate internally? When things go wrong, are you going wrong with them? If it goes crazy, are you going crazy? As human beings, we tend to spin. So it's really about the internal conversation and becoming inner directed, which means you're in control of how you're going to show up every single day, which is meditation. Right. It's also studying and making an intentional decision that every single day, and I'll tell you the key for me was to understand, for me, what the definition of love really was. And love, not for me, but for others. Because people can say they love for others, but they love them until they don't get what they want, or they feel that they have been betrayed, and then they take the love back. Because I found that I could love someone across the street. I don't require that here. So if I have an abundance of that to give, I operate in peace, tranquility, and gratitude every single day. And I can see different things coming, and it helps you heighten your awareness. So communication is how are you willing to communicate with yourself? And I like to teach that even when I'm training speakers, how to put yourself there, because there's so many people that are very talented, and nothing wrong with making money, but that's the whole model. I don't see the result. I don't see the fruit. I need to say, I want to see people who have gone through something and now going through school where they measure the success rate in education. Well, we don't do that well in this country, but so in other areas of our life, are we going to follow that track and not care and just say, this is who I am? Or are we going to focus on the end result and how you impact a human being? Because, you can make money and you can get most of the things that money can buy, but when you impact a life, you can get all the things that money can't.
I couldn't agree more, Dr. Dentley. As you look at your career, you're as renowned as a philanthropist as you are as a speaker and a trainer. And I think it's a really important element. If people haven't gotten it, that they need to give back. They need to pay it forward. We're a cost reduction firm, our company, Certainty Management. We do profitability consulting. We do tax credit recovery. It's all about helping our clients make more and keep more, but we also encourage them to give more and to do that tithe of their time and their resources, because I believe when you do so, not only does it come back to you tenfold, even 100-fold, but it adds a level of meaning and significance and depth to your life that you can't get in any other way. So you're a great example of that. Is there a project that you're most excited about? We talked a little bit about Inspired to Speak, the action camp, but I know you have it's a more recent project, your streaming service, JD3, the TV, it's JD3 TV platform. Maybe tell us a little bit about that. I know it's turning a lot of heads, and you're blessing a lot of lives in that way as well.
Yeah, we've been extremely blessed. JD3TV.com. People wanted me to go into television a decade ago, and I didn't really want to do it because I wasn't doing it to chase dollars. But when COVID came, so many speakers, they had no place to speak. There weren't any audiences. Even on television, there weren't any actual studio audiences there. Everything was virtual. And I'd already been in the virtual realm because I had a patent on a project for a virtual training glasses for speakers and for kids and spelling bees. So I sold part of that patent. And so I realized that I always look at what's next, Patrick. How can we make things better? As an entrepreneur, you want to solve problems, and there was a problem there. So I created the network because I'm very protective of my speakers, and I want my speakers to be successful. So I want to create a platform to build their brand even bigger, to make them an expert. When you get on television, you're an expert. So we stream now through the JD3TV.com. We stream on the Apple and Android on the apps on your phone. We stream on TV and Roku. Next month, we'll have Apple, Android coming. And I wanted to disrupt the industry by not making it a subscription, but making it a membership. because there was so much talent out there that people will never get to Netflix. They'll never know who they are, but they can get to us. And then we partnered up and people wanted to join us, like the people who made the movie The Secret and 16 other movies. They brought all their content to us, and now they have a weekly show on the network. Another gentleman was voted the #1 CEO on the planet, John Sartoris. He has a show, and all of his resources he put into the network and the show to help us grow. And then David Ibarra, who's the largest global licensee of the Think and Grow Rich documentary brand, and John Shin, who has the movies, all that's there. So we built, and Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, the inventor of the infomercial, his good friend. All these people came and said, look, we want to support what you do. We believe in it. Jeff Hoffman, co-founder of Priceline, joined the first person to join my advisory board as an advisor and a friend to guide us, said, if anybody can do it, you can do it. Because I built it for content creators to become bigger, to have more success. And then they can earn money with the network and have 5 ways to make revenue, and also get equity in the daggone network itself. And together, as we help other people win, then everyone wins. But then the members or subscribers can win trips and vacations and free gifts and raffles and free access and VIP access to some of our events. And so we wanted to create something where we can drive a community and give the people, instead of watching the television network, to have a voice in it and to show up. We'll do documentaries we're going to do a campaign where people can submit us letters about people in their family or themselves in their life. And if we like it, whoever wins, we're going to do a mini documentary on them, and we're going to showcase it free of charge for them. So we want to help real people, real stories, one reel at a time. That's it.
I love that. And it's so positive. It's so focused on exactly what we were talking about before, the abundance that's in life,
Yes.
looking past the challenges and the trials. I mean, I think so often we run into hard times. We're dealing with maybe a medical condition, or we're dealing with a financial loss or a loss of a relationship. And we feel like we're the only one who's going through that, right? And we're, I heard a quote once, if you look at the person next to you, 90% of the time, they're going through something really hard. So if we put ourselves in each other's shoes and remember that truth, we realize we're in this together. And so I love that you've created and are building this platform, not only for speakers and others to expand their brand and to deliver their IP, but I love that your listeners can get more engaged in the platform. You talk about raffles and contests and winning trips and things like that. That's
vacations, cruises.
I love that. I mean, that's you said, tell us the website again, and how does someone take part in it? What's the cost maybe? What does it take to be a member? Then we're up
www.jd3tv.com. You can be a member either for free, because we have podcasts now, or you can be a member for $3.97. You can get the movie club for $9.99. If you want the master class, and you're actually going to get not only the content, but you'll be able to join live trainings from the masters, people who have interviewed all the top thought leaders on the planet. And it's under $15 a month for that. So we want to give $100,000 worth of value for less than $15,000 a month, and then give them back some of the prizes that's even triple what the investment would be.
That's amazing. We're up against our second break, visiting with Sir Dr. James Dentley III. We're going to come back and talk about that Sir part. Thank you for being here, Dr. Dentley. I'm really enjoying this.
Having fun. Woo!
All right, perfect. Good job, guys. All clear. Back into.
How long have you had the show, Patrick?
So I was a guest on a show called Business Buzz last June or July.
Okay.
A host named Frank Hellring, he's been in the business a long time. He said, you'd be really good at this. He said, you're quick off the cuff. You've got a great story. Would you be interested in meeting the general manager? I bet he'd be interested in you. Well, he and I met. We talked for almost 2 hours that first day.
Nice.
And he asked me to put together a proposal. He said that it was the first proposal he's seen in several years that the board approved unanimously. They loved our idea of creating a show about certainty, about finding certainty. And And so that I launched my first show on my son's birthday, August 12th of last year.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was kind of symbolic. My baby boy. It was a birthday gift to him. I don't know if he even listened to it, but you know, he's a teenager.
Yeah. Here we go. They pay attention. And if you leave it alone, it's like putting a seed in the garden. You can't see what's happening underneath the dirt. But by the pure fact that you put some seeds down there, you're going to expect some grass. Now, will weeds come? Yeah, probably so. But we're going to manage the weeds and we nurture the grass. And that's all you do.
Absolutely.
I tell people, you don't hit rock bottom, you hit rock foundation. So no matter what happens, he'll always land on the foundation that his parents have imparted in him. Yeah.
I love I love the way you think, Dr. Dentley. You've learned a lot over the years, I bet. And I can imagine how many, just hundreds of thousands of people you've impacted in the last going on 40 years.
Yeah, it's been a blessing, man. So I love that part, because you grow up in your life trying to figure out who you want to be and what you're going to do, and things don't work out. You keep going and you live life and you just hit this path because
10 seconds, guys.
People just want to be somebody, man. That's all.
They do.
And they already are. So all you want to be is who you are. So we, while searching to return to what it was supposed to be in the first place.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
You're listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Lang. Have a question for Patrick or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show with Patrick.
Welcome back, everyone. We're visiting with Dr. James Dentley III, speaker, entrepreneur, philanthropist. He's also a knight, which is a really interesting story. I'd love to have you share that with us if you don't mind, Dr. Dentley. I mean, you and your wife, you were knighted. She's the dame of the Royal Order of Constantine the Great and St. Helen of the Sovereign and Royal House of Cappadocia. Did I say that right?
Yes, you did. Very good.
So what an extraordinary honor, right? To be inducted as a knight and a dame. And tell us about that experience. Tell us how it came about and how it felt. I mean, that's not something very many people experience.
Well, dear friend, as I travel the world, I meet knights and dames in different parts of the world. And it's always been a big deal. And you're like, wow. So I never thought about it for myself. But then a friend of mine was actually a count. And he actually asked me, because of the work in philanthropy that I've been doing and the different awards I would always get, he said, man, we love to honor you and become a knight. And because I understood what it meant and the honor of it, being especially outside of America, I said, yeah, by all means. And by my wife, she's published science in about 6 or 7 countries as a scientist. So she stood on her own because there's 8 categories in which you can be knighted. And it's really about, and it could be a nurse, it could be a police officer, it could be a military vet, it could be in business, it could be an athlete, it could be a singer like Paula Abdul was knighted, and Tony Braxton had been knighted, Adele had been knighted, Angela Jolie had been knighted. So it's a really a global honor, but it's really about coming together to make the world just a little bit better. Prince Rafael resides in Sevilla, Spain, and Barcelona, and they wanted me to go to Spain to become knighted, but then COVID struck and we couldn't go. No one can leave the country. And then they couldn't come here either. So when we finally cleared it up, he actually came to the States and then had this idea, said, well, perhaps we'll build out the Royal Order in the United States. So not only I've been knighted, then I've been elevated to a Grand Cross Knight. And the same day I was honored to become the first Grand Prior and the only active Grand Prior in the United States of America, which I'm like the governor of Illinois, but there's nobody else in the country at that position. So the goal is to serve the nonprofits, not only for the Royal Order, but the local charities as well, and look for other people who are deserving to have that honor. And it's a global honor. It's recognized well outside this country and the different countries that participate in that, who respect it. But we come together to just do some incredible things. So June 10th and 11th, we're having that weekend a night in investiture, which we have several nominees and 16 people will be knighted as knights and dames here in Chicago. And we're going to have a meet and greet at the Bentley Rolls-Royce dealership on Saturday. And we're going to come together and talk about raising more money with local business people to go to charities that really make, and we have a charity, but our charity funds other charities that I know with the work they're doing. I know where the money's going. I see it. So, and we can measure that. So we want to be able to build it out throughout the United States of America, because this is the oldest royal order, Patrick, in the world. There's no order to order. 312. Is that right? Yeah. Constantine was the first ruler of Rome to bring Christianity as the religion of Rome. He fought his brother to do it, So, and St. Helen was known, the mom was known to discover the cross where Christ was crucified, and she would take slivers of the cross and put little pieces of wood in the helmets. This is what the folklore is on it. But it's just an honor to be a part of it, and they're galvanized with people that just want to try to make things better for everybody else. That's it.
Well, I love that. I love the majesty of it and the symbolism and just the grandeur. I mean, there's a video that recaps some of the views of you receiving your sword and receiving your plaque. I don't know what they call it, but your seal and it looks really neat. I mean, what an honor.
Who doesn't want to be Sir Lancelot when you're a kid, man? Come on. If you're in the right age group, you're a baby boomer, you understand Sir Lancelot.
Absolutely. But I love the symbolism and everything, as I said, but I really love the meaning behind it. The fact that it's focused on serving others. Yeah. I served a mission for my church for a couple of years in Rome, Italy. And anyone I speak to who has served in that capacity, they've served a mission overseas, over in Africa, South America, somewhere like that. They always come back and they say it was the best time of their life, the best 2 years or the best 6 weeks or whatever. It just changes them. And I believe it's because they are catching the vision of what it means to look outward and to focus on others. And I certainly experienced it. I also experienced it in the military I was in the Army for several years. And it's, as I said earlier, it's something that more people need to understand. If they focused outward more and less inward, the whole world would be a better place, of course, but they would realize and come to understand how much joy and satisfaction comes from that. It's hard to explain until you've experienced it, right?
Yeah, but I think that one of the challenges it's really, if you look at what's happening in the world and even in our country, 10 years ago, minimum wage was $9 an hour. Now it's 15, and you go to McDonald's or Walmart and make $21 an hour, as long as they have jobs, because they're going to replace all the jobs with artificial intelligence and robots. Right. But so people, but after the prices of everything went sky high, so people are back to where they started. 12 years ago, the average home was $90,000, and now it's $400,000 in the city of Chicago. So now people are still stuck in the same situation. So we're operating in a state of fear and uncertainty, anxiety, and people can't see their way clear. But I would tell you that you can create money. Money is easy to create. You solve a problem, you fill a need. I used to live in a car. I didn't even talk about that. I slept in a car, man. I built a multi-million-dollar business living in a car because someone told a story, and their story prepared me with a low point in my life. And that's why it's so important to share your story, whether it be on radio or podcast or streaming, as a speaker. Tell your story, because the story will be there for someone else, and it will empower you, that you find meaning in your challenges. But as you do that and get around people that can help you to grow, help you to think bigger, not people that are better than, we're all different than, nobody's better than anybody else. But get around people who are going in a certain direction, because if your kids are hanging out with kids who don't do their homework, that are very disrespectful, they're hanging out by the liquor store in the middle of the night, the odds are their trouble happens, the kids are locked up in the trouble, even if it's a good kid. because it's about where you're spending your time. Relationships are about agreement. So you want to build relationships. So you got to show up to some of the different, that's how we met. We met because we showed up, and that's why we're here today. So, and it's nothing special about me. I get a lot of accolades. I'm very honored. I'm very grateful, but I always remember and operate with a power of humility. I don't get caught up in the titles and the money and things like that, because I remember I had nothing. And I remember there's other people out there that are hurting. So we can, through your example, one by one, just do a little bit. We may not change the world, but make it a little bit better. Then it's man, it's nothing greater, man. There's nothing greater.
I love that. I love the story of the girl who is on the beach throwing starfishes out into the ocean. You've heard this story, I'm sure. And man comes by and he says, "What are you doing?" She's throwing starfishes that have washed up on the beach as fast as she can into the water. And she says, "I'm saving these starfishes." And he says, "There's thousands of them." He says, "You can't make a difference for all of these." She says, she picks one up, throws it in there. She says, "Well, I can make a difference for this one." I love that.
Right.
That's
it.
It's kind of a classic. But as our company has evolved, we've as I was saying, we realized we could do more than just make income. We could make a difference. And today we help raise unlimited zero-cost funding for nonprofits. So we need to continue the conversation, because I can do a lot to help the nonprofits that you serve, and we'd be honored to assist in that way. We don't charge them anything for our help, and there's a lot of things we can do that we've learned over the last 100+ years collectively. But we have some great things happening. But in closing, we're up against our time here coming up, but any last thoughts or lessons you'd want to share? We've got about another minute or two here, and I know there's a lot to choose from, but what would you say?
Walt Disney said, Patrick, that you can make your dreams come true. Most people struggle with one of 2 points, or both. A, they don't have clarity on what they want, and B, they don't know how to get it. And there's a pathway to discover all of those things, but you have to begin somewhere. And that's why your show is important. I encourage people to invite more people to listen to your show, because I see the work you're doing. I've met you as a person, as a man. I know who you are. And, you want to plug into different things like that people that can help you really, really grow. And don't be afraid to dream. Don't be afraid to dream, and don't worry about the adversities. They will build you. They will be there. Every bit of adversity will drop a seed that bears fruit of equal and opposite advantage. If you just remember to follow your dreams, just follow those dreams wherever they may lead, and never ever get distracted by less worthy deeds. Remember to shelter them and nurse them and help them to grow. Let your heart hold them down deep where dreams go. You follow your dreams, you pursue them with haste. Remember and never forget that your only life is too precious and it's too fleeting to waste. So be thankful, be grateful, and in all your days through, the dreams you follow, they all will come true. Just have a dream, follow it, put yourself in the right environment where it can take root. And just as you were created by a little DNA from mom and dad, a little puddle, 90% water, and here you are with bones, teeth, nails, and a voice, that you can become something else, something mighty, just like the acorn becomes an oak tree. Let's go out there and live our best life. We only get one. Let's have some fun doing it.
I concur. Dr. Dentley, thanks for being here on Finding Certainty. It's a true honor. Really enjoying getting to know you. I'm sure we'll have lots more conversation, but thanks so much. I'm sure our audience has absolutely enjoyed hearing from you. So thanks for being here, everybody. Come on back next week. We've got Bill Walsh of Power Team International as our guest next week.
All right.
Power Punch 1, Power Punch 2 with Dr. Dentley and Bill coming up. So thanks for being here. Certainty is available. You can find it. Go out and create it for yourself and for others. You'll never regret it if you do. And we wish you the very best. Thanks so much. If you'd like to learn more about Dr. Dentley, go to jamesdentley.com. It's got all his bios and everything he's working on. And have a great day. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. And bye for now.
All right. Awesome job, guys. Good show. We're all clear.
Thanks, Matt.
Yep. Thank you. You both have a great weekend, and happy birthday, Patrick.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday, Patrick.
All right,
Enjoy
thanks.
yourself, man. I'll call you in the latter part of the week, and let's just pick up, let's chat a little bit, okay?
I would love to. We could do some. We can do some good together. There's definitely ways I could help. I'd love to learn more about JD3 TV, and maybe there's some things we can do. I get invited to speak fairly often, and I think it's a topic, this finding certainty topic, that people are hungry for.
Yes.
That's why our show is the fastest growing show on Voice America right now. I'm getting more and more invitations. I'd like to learn more about your speakers camp, because it's something I'd like to take part in.
Okay, awesome.
You've done exactly what I want to do with my life. I mean, I'd rather be on a stage talking or in a group speaking with people and changing lives than just about anything else. So
I want to help more people to do it more than I want to do it myself. I've been doing it forever. I want to help other people do it. I want to get in the back and help other people fly, man. I love it.
yeah, I can imagine. I've been, you understand, as a parent or as a coach, or I've coached sports. I was an athlete myself, played basketball for the Army, and there's something to be said about mentoring others and helping them get to that next level. So thanks for being here. I really appreciate it.
All right, buddy. I got to jump on another Zoom like right now.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot, Doug.
Thanks, Patrick. You got it, man. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Bye.
I'll see you. Bye-bye. Well, we had a couple little glitches there in the sound for some reason. So if you were listening and I cut out for a few seconds, I'm not sure if the internet took a dump or what, but thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the chat with Dr. Dentley. He's an amazing man, and I'm enjoying getting to know him. I'm looking forward to getting to know him better. I'll talk to you later. Thanks.